2 women entered my car in Utah and tried to kidnap my children. I kid you not.
Y'all, the scammers are getting smarter.
Did you know there's a new banking scam? And motherfuckers tried to get me yesterday.
So today we're going to talk about scams that are going on right now. Big ones that could ruin you. And as a expert in scam detection, because everybody's trying to scam me all the time, we're going to talk about this, hopefully educate you on some of these crazy scams that can ruin your financial future. Let's get down to it. I'll give you my opinion on how to fight this the best, and hopefully you won't fall for this. Let's go.
Did you know there's a new banking scam? And motherfuckers tried to get me yesterday, but since I'm suspicious of everything, it didn't work. And I'm going to share it with you right now because you need to share it with all of your family and friends. They're getting good. So here's what happened. You know how your bank will send you those text messages for fraud alerts if you have a weird charge? Well, I got one yesterday. Here it is. Looks exactly like the one sent from my bank. So I replied no because I am not in Portland, Oregon. I'm in East Tennessee. I do wish we had a Target though. Bank calls me back, starts asking me all of the normal questions. They tell me they're going to stop.
First of all, that number goes straight to the scammer. So when you call them to say, hey, I didn't do this, you're talking to the scammer. And they can recreate any of these phone numbers with a spoofer. Okay. So be very careful. Believe nothing right off the bat. Believe it like it doesn't even exist.
The charge at Target, but there's also been several bill pays that were done yesterday and a few payments to random people. Then they wanted me to go into my online banking app, and this is when the red flags went up. They said that in order for me to stop payment on these random people, I would need to go into my pay a person portion of the online banking app and do a test run so they could verify my identity. I'm sorry, what? You want me to add you as a contact to my pay a person? Yeah, that's not happening. When I said absolutely not and told them that was never going to happen, the line went silent. I then hung up and called my bank directly and started asking them questions.
That's the first thing you should have done. Or have somebody else on another phone call the bank and see if you're actually on the phone with the bank. This happened to my wife. And I heard it happen in the other room, and I ran in there and stopped it immediately because I knew. And the moment I said we're on the phone with the bank, the other guy hung up. The scammer.
That this is a new scam and that if I had added them and sent them even 1 penny, their systems would have been able to link to my account and drain it. So here's the warning. If you receive a text from your bank about a fraud alert of any kind, or if anyone calls you saying that they are from your bank, hang up the phone and you call your bank directly. 99.9% of the time, the bank is never going to call you. You need to call them. And I'm putting this out there because it is so heartbreaking to me to know that there are people who will fall for this and have their money stolen. So for added measure, I updated my password and I'm now heading into the bank to get a new debit card because that...
Somebody tell the brokerage guys this too. They keep calling me saying that they want to help me with the brokerage and they're from Fidelity or Vanguard or wherever. And I'm like, I don't believe you, bro. Don't call me and say you're from the bank and then send me an email saying don't answer anything from the bank. And it's becoming pretty bad because even if there is a problem, you don't believe it. And I've had the bank actually call me. Like they said they won't call you, they will. But this stuff is wild, and you got to be very careful, especially the elderly. Elderly fraud is the worst. Apple called me the other day, and they said they had a death certificate from me in Canada, and they were trying to get the legacy account on it. And they almost got me. They were so good. I mean, most of these sales guys, for the scammers, they know the rules better than the bank. And they are better at the job than the people at the bank, probably because they get paid more being scammers. Most of these guys are out of the country, and it's almost impossible to catch them. And the FBI is only like 5,000 or 6,000 guys. So it's like not like they can catch all these guys. They're using VPNs. They're spoofing the numbers from the bank. So don't even believe the number from the bank, even if it registers coming in from the bank.
Scammers are pulling a new trick. I've just learned they're now sending fake voicemail notifications that look like they're from your doctor, your pharmacy, your kid's school, even your bank. The message shows up as an email saying you have a new voicemail. There's a link or an attachment to listen to it. If you click it, you're installing malware and spyware, or you're taken to a fake login page where scammers steal your passwords, your social security number, everything. They create urgency in the subject line. That's key here. It says important voicemail or missed call alert, or I saw one that said voicemail from your doctor's office, and it works. We act fast when we think we miss something important. It's science, it's psychology. Don't fall for it. Never click on any email saying it's a voicemail. If you accidentally click on it, it happens, Turn on multi-factor authentication immediately, so even if they get your password, you're still pinged if they try to access.
There's a big one going around right now with real estate agents where a buyer will act like they're a buyer. They'll want to Zoom with you. They're like, can we hop on Zoom? I'll send you the link. You're like, okay, cool. And you click on that link because you think it's a Zoom call coming in. And then it literally downloads like the malware to your computer, strips all your passwords, and then they're off to the races. You know, he hit it on the head right at the end. You should have two-factor authorization, but if you're a high-profile individual, you need to have an authenticator or a YubiKey. A lot of banks won't do the authenticator or the YubiKey. You need to look that up. And I get really mad at some of these banks because the high-level brokerages will allow you to have an authenticator. You should have an authenticator on everything. What it is, it's a roving set of numbers linked to a device that if you don't have that cyclical, ever-changing passcode, then you can't get into the account. That way, if they ever steal your phone number, spoof your SMS card in your phone, they can't use the two-factor against you. And a lot of people have their SMS boomeranged back to their computer. Terrible idea, because if they ever get into your computer, then they can hit your phone, it bounces to the computer, then they're into your account. You gotta really look at this, because a lot of people are getting a lot of their money stolen. Banks wiped out from these little phishing desktop monitoring spywares, and they are getting everybody's email addresses and everybody's passwords. That's how the wire fraud's happening. I had a friend that had a client that clicked on a wire fraud email, stole every one of his bank accounts, and stole every one of his email accounts. Every one of them. He's had them for 20 years. It's scary. Took him like weeks to get them back.
Women who are getting a knock on the window while they're in a Starbucks parking lot, while they're at Target parking lot, mall parking lots, when they are sitting there, have their windows up, make sure you lock your door, because they're knocking on your window and telling you you have a flat tire. They want you to get out of the vehicle because they're going to abduct you. Don't fall for it. Do not fall for it. Don't even roll your window down a little bit. Don't. Just give them the thumbs up. If they continue to try to get you out of the vehicle, because that's what it seems like they're doing in all of these incidents, honk your horn as many times as you can. Draw as much attention as you possibly can to you. And supposedly they are flattening your tire with a knife so that you do have the flat tire. Okay, cool. All right, cool. If you feel endangered in any way, reverse, go forward. Doesn't matter what you do. Ride that rim out. Ride it out. Your life is more precious than the rim anyway. Okay, so
there's two things going on with this video. One, yes, these being nice to you scams are terrible. And a lot of people are too good-natured to say, I'm not falling for it, and they'll go along with it, and that's what winds up happening to people. There's a fine line there with it actually being true. So be careful when you throw the flag, because some people are nice, especially in the South. They're like, hey man, your tire's flat. Or hey, ma'am, your tire's flat. Don't try to, like, hit the person and run away just because you might actually have a flat tire. But these scams, like, oh, you dropped something, let me get that for you. Oh, the guy walking by with the roses and hands you one and say it's a free gift, but then wants a donation, and then they get really mad if you don't give them money. A lot of these scams play on your good nature. Don't fall for it. Just be smart. Just be aware of your situation. Look around and be like, it doesn't make sense. I have a rule, taught to me in the Army. If I didn't put it down, I'm not picking it up. If I didn't do it, then I'm not correcting it. Because you know what? We're in the streets everywhere, and people got really hurt by picking up things they didn't put down. I'll let you fill in the lines on that because I don't want YouTube to flag me, because they flag us for everything. Another thing right now, trying to make videos like this to educate people, YouTube's algorithm is flagging us as violating YouTube terms and services. Go look at my Twitter. You'll see that I've been having problems with that. Just making educational videos. This is an educational video, so people don't fall for that stuff. So don't flag me, YouTube. Hint, hint.
Alert everybody, there is a new scam that you need to be aware of, and it's very clever and lots of people are falling foul of it. It is called the capture scam. People are falling foul of it when they complete a capture test, but it's actually a fake capture. If you don't know what a capture is, you might be familiar with this. This is a capture test that you'll often see on a website. It helps to determine whether an online user is a human or a bot. I've certainly completed a lot of these in my time, and I'm sure you probably have too. But in the fake capture test that is going around, the capture will ask you to complete a certain set of instructions, such as pressing keys in a particular order. If you do complete these commands, then malicious software can then be downloaded onto your phone, otherwise known as malware. This can then be used by hackers to steal your data and your money. So be sure to be on high alert every time you see one of these captures, and never complete a set of commands or instructions such as pressing particular keys on your phone. As a reminder, this is what a genuine capture looks like. This is what...
Yeah, any of these things where they can get any information to get into any of your accounts, and they're basically getting you to complete the puzzle that they don't have. And that's very tricky. If you'll go and use a Google Authenticator or a Microsoft Authenticator on any account that allow you to have a third-party authenticator, and then separate your devices, okay? You have things you do with your computer, you have things that you do with your phone. The things you do with your computer, it has to be completed with your phone. And if they don't have the two, it's hard for them to do some of these things. Divide everything up. Don't have any of your passwords on the internet or on a digital device that are really important, like your bank accounts. I know a lot of people have, because the passwords keep getting bigger. You need a password, an app, and those are great too. But I would say if you've got a bunch of money in an account, you can keep maybe the username on your app, but the password stays in the safe offline, maybe in a notebook, that you can't complete the two. This is the best way to do this, because they are so good and you don't even know if your computer's been hacked. I know I'm being paranoid, but somebody tries to hack me about every day. And I've seen it all. And that's why I'm trying to help y'all from my mistakes.
This new scam that's going around that you need to be aware of, and it's a good one that would have gotten me, one of my family members, or even one of my loved ones. You're gonna get a package delivered to your home. It may be a box, it may be a padded envelope. It will be addressed to you with your information on it, and it may or may not have a sender address on it. Cool, somebody has sent me something. You open up the package. Inside is a QR code that you need to scan to find out what your gift is. The instant that you scan it, you have handed over every single piece of information you have on your phone. And I mean everything. We're talking about your passwords, your text messages, your photographs, your emails, your banking information, everything, including access to your cloud and local devices. And time may pass and you may think, oh, they didn't get me. I scanned the QR code, but I'm totally fine. Nothing happened. They may literally just be sitting on the access or monitoring your activity. These scammers are becoming incredibly clever and finding so many different ways to access your information. And don't put your head in the sand.
If you are using your passwords, put them in a password app that is sealed by either a biometric or your face. And that way they can't open the app if they do some type of spoof or phish off your phone, okay? If you're using an app, you're going to be prepared. If your banking account passwords are off a digital device, keep them in a notebook or something in a safe. And I know that's really hard, but it's part of the world we live in now. We live in a world where AI can scan an entire hard drive like that and it's over. So just be aware that they can do this. And believe nothing in the mail. I've been telling law enforcement for a very long time that the mail is rank with scams. And it doesn't seem like law enforcement wants to do anything unless they can sniff it with a dog and get somebody for drugs. But these financial scams are even worse than the drug world right now. And it doesn't seem like anybody wants to do anything about these scammers in other countries preying on us.
Y'all, the scammers are getting smarter. I placed an order from DoorDash for lunch today, and as I was waiting for it, I got a call from who caller ID said was DoorDash order. So I answered, because sometimes I get calls when like my order is canceled or something like that. So answer it, and it says it's somebody from support, and my order has been canceled, but they're trying to reactivate it for me, and they just need some information. And I was like, well, I need to go. Like, I can't wait for this to be done. And this person would not take no for an answer. They're like, no, I'll just do it. And I was like, okay, whatever, fine. I got annoyed. So he asked for my email address. I actually gave him my husband's, which is on the account. And he was typing it in. I heard him and I was like, wait a second, shouldn't you have my email address? So I said, hold on. He was asking me about my phone number at that time. And I was like, this sounds like a scam. Like, what's going on? And this guy hung up on me. So I reached out to DoorDash support. Come to find out, they didn't call me. So this was a scammer that somehow knew that I ordered. So keep your eyes out, y'all. The scammers are getting smart.
It's insane how much information they have on everybody. It's because many of these accounts they've already hacked. They've been lying dormant for years. They call it in the banking world zombie bank accounts. They've been hacked. Nobody knows it. Nobody ever really changes a password. And they start ushering money from account to account inside of an institution. And you would think banks would figure this out, but you know what? They would rather pay the insurance than stop the crime. And that's what's wrong with a lot of this stuff. And you know, these type of scammers, they're preying on people's good nature, and they get away with it. They get away with it because you're afraid to say, stop, I don't believe you. But then there's also those that are too paranoid that they can't get anything done because they're always worried they're getting scammed. I probably fall in that category.
When?
This is a little concerning. Not even an hour ago, I was laying down to try to take a nap with the husband, and then somebody knocks on the door. They're pounding on the door. So we get up, we're like, what the heck? And I go and answer it, and there's a man standing there with a bottle of Blue Dawn, and he says that they're giving out free product. So then he asks if this is a good time. I don't care for solicitors, so I'm like, not really. I work from home. And he goes, okay. And he turns around and he's like, there's usually 3 cars in the driveway. Are you home alone? And I'm like, no, my husband's here. He also works full-time from home. We're always here. So then he puts his hands up and he backs up and he goes, oh, sorry to intrude. I hope you have a good day. Then he leaves. Our driveway, our house doesn't face the road, so you can't see our cars unless you're driving up the driveway.
That's wild. Good rule of thumb is you never answer the door unless you know them. Okay, and you could even put your phone number like outside the house, and that way they have to call you before you answer the door. We don't answer the door to anybody. We had too many people from YouTube show up at our house doing crazy things. We don't answer the door unless you have a warrant or you are somebody of importance and I know who you are and I can see you on my cameras before you even get there, and that stops a lot of scams. These high-pressure salesmen like solar, pest control, things like that, those dudes are so good. Don't even talk to them. Just stop it before it even starts. And when people call you to do this stuff, I'm not interested in talking to you. And I hate that that's the world we've come to, but the scammers are so bad. And in the South, people feel rude by hanging up on somebody or saying I'm not interested. But it's the world we live in now that you gotta really be careful with your voice on the internet. They could be recording your voice to use that as a password because now banks thinks it's smart to use your voice as your password. Like right now, my voice is all over the internet. Don't use your voice as a password. You got to be careful. When you hear those guys call and then hang up, they recorded your voice. That's what they're doing. Call and then hang up. Then you're on an account where they know that your phone number is real now and they can keep hitting you. You're on an auto dialer and it just keeps going over and over and over and over until it hits somebody, and then it goes over and over until it hits somebody. And once it hits you, you get in that rhythm where they just keep hitting you up, keep hitting you up, keep hitting you up. Be very careful. Same thing with real estate.
2 women entered my car in Utah and tried to kidnap my children. I kid you not. This is not my usual content. I'm here to spread joy and happy things, but yesterday I was on here scrolling and I saw Jane, a very famous creator, guys. She's the one who does like all the Utah mom parodies and stuff. Hi Jane, I love you. Shared a scary experience in Utah in a parking lot with her kids, and it brought back a flood of memories. This is to help educate other moms, not to spread fear. It will be the one and only time I probably ever talk about this. So one morning I drove to the gym with my small children. I had a new car, so I didn't know that when I parked, the doors automatically unlocked. Do you see where this is going? Pull up to the gym, front row parking, broad daylight, maybe about 8:30 a.m. It's generally very safe. My 2 young children are in the rear seats, not in this car. It was a different car. Each morning I would make my son a bottle, so I'm mixing up his formula. Usually I would unbuckle my toddler and let him stretch his legs. I kid you not, I had a feeling, just wait. So I didn't. I'm sitting there making the bottle when I hear my 2 rear doors open up. Now this is where I am so thankful that all those posts online prepared me for this moment. And what do they advise be vicious, be mama dog, cuss, go crazy. So they open the back doors. I'm seeing women put their hands in towards my kids, scream, what the F are you doing? Get the F out of my car, get the HOA. And I just, the women immediately slam the door shut. I lock my door as fast as I can, and I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, what just happened? I'm in shock, but my door is locked. I slowly unroll my window because the one woman is still standing there, not directly across from me, but like by my child. Rolled on my window. I said, hey, sorry I yelled at you, but what were you doing? And she goes, no habla inglés. Intuition is like, don't trust her. I'm sitting there. I start looking for unmarked vehicles. And at the back of my car, there is now a third woman. There are 3 women not leaving my car. There's 3 women behind my car and they're not leaving. And they're pointing at the door with my toddler, who was nonverbal at the time. Anyway, sorry guys, this brings up emotions.
Part of the scam, you see it in third world countries. A lot of times pickpockets, okay? They'll be female too, and they'll match the female. And then if you start screaming, they start screaming at you, pointing at you, saying you're the criminal. And in situations like this, especially a nonverbal child, they will be like, that's my child, not her child. And then she'll be like, no, that's my child. Now prove it, okay? She might be able to if they're both blonde-headed, but the police show up and they don't know whose kid is who. Same way with pickpockets. They don't know who picked who. And the scammer is way better at this because they've done it a few times than you have. You see it in a lot of ports where somebody gets off a port, they're wealthy. The scammers are used to working in the port. They start pickpocketing. You catch them as a pickpocket. They point at you and say, you hit them. And the police are looking at this one person that knows the situation better than you. And they're like, oh, so you hit this person, meaning the scammer. And you're like, no, they tried to pickpocket me. And they wind up arresting you or the situation crumbles because you can't prove anything. And that's part of the way these type scam works. Be very careful. Use your head. Situational awareness.
Pointing. And I'm thinking, are they pointing at the iPad? Or is this something more nefarious? So I decide that I'm going to get them away from my kids. I got my keys. I unlocked just my door and I got my phone out. Lock it, and then I get my phone in their face and I say something to the effect of, get away from my kids, get away from my car. I know you can understand me. I'm calling the cops, get away. They understood what I said. Let's just put it that way. At this time, 2 innocent looking guys are leaving the gym and they look at me and I just say, hey, women, these women just tried to come into my car. I think they were trying to kidnap my kids. Do either one of you speak Spanish? And the guy was like, yeah, I went on a mission. I speak Spanish. And I said, can you ask them what was going on? And they go to talk to them. And of course, the women don't comply. They won't talk with them. At this point, I think my adrenaline is going. Women inside the daycare are familiar with my children. If I can get them dropped off, then I can call the cops real fast. But I just want to get my kids safe at this point. I'm not going to sit in my car like a target and have them come after me again. And I'm not going to drive back to my home and have them follow me. They are off. I don't know how far, let's just say 5 or 6 cars away from me. So I look in my rearview mirror. I don't see anybody. And I decide, okay, let's get out of here. I unbuckle my child. My baby was in a Duna, which is like so fast to take out, right? Get him on my hip. Open the door. I'm still looking. They're there. I don't see anyone around me. And I take out the Duna, slam the car, shut it. And they're still standing there. And I yell at them again, stay away from my kids, stay away from my car. Mama carries in her car and I let them know it, if you get what I'm saying. I run inside with my kids, get them dropped off. The girls at the gym were so nice. So I call the cops immediately. I call the cops. I file a police report. This was my first time calling the police for anything like this. They were not exactly helpful, I will tell you that. They said, well, why did you leave? Where did they go? What vehicle did they get in? Okay. Some woman just got into my car and I should have stayed. So I go outside at that time. They're gone. I don't know if I did the right thing leaving, but I know that I protected my kids. That I am more hypervigilant than ever in parking lots. If you have special needs children, I would highly suggest a doctor's appointment to get a handicap parking pass, so you're not an easy target if you're alone with your kids. That's my opinion. You don't have to agree with it. I'm a Midwest girl, so I have a concealed you know what. All else fails, yell, scream, go crazy, scare them away. If they're not child abductors, you can always apologize. But the alternative is, if you're not, scary things can happen.
Being loud. Being loud is the key. Draw attention. They don't like attention because people will remember them for next time. And then it's like, oh, there's those same people that ran that same scam. And in the United States, most people recognize that after a while. But the police are going to show up, and this is how this scam works. Like I was saying before, the police are going to show up and be like, your word versus their word. And if it wasn't recorded, they're not going to believe it. Eyewitness testimony is one of the lowest levels of evidence, and because people lie so much. So the police are getting to where they're not going to believe it unless there's a picture or a video. And it's sad that we've come to this point, but most police forces are overworked, underpaid, and they're dealing with he said, she said. And when it's woman versus woman and one doesn't speak English, it's going to be very hard to get a conviction on that case. And that's how they keep doing it over and over and over. But eventually, if they're not migratory, the local beat cops should be able to identify this after a while and be like, I've seen this lady before. I see it on the west side. I'm like, that's that same guy that ran that scam yesterday. And that's how the homeless panhandling works. They're leaning on you being nice and afraid of confrontation. Don't be afraid of it. And an old man told me a really good way to do this. When you pull up and your situational spider senses are going off, you should look at those people and wave at them. Wave at them. And if they don't wave back, you'll know something's up and you got some eyes on them. When I'm on the worst parts of town, I automatically wave at those guys and they know exactly what I'm doing. I got eyes on them. I recognize them. And I know that if you're weird, I know at that moment, because I've done this enough, that you're weird. Great way of doing it. And if she would have pulled up to that parking spot and said, there's 3 people standing over there, I got eyes on them, and you get out of the car and go, hey, how y'all doing? And you'll know they're up to something. Life advice right there.
Okay, I was just trying to sell a couch from my apartment. And this video should get attention for the safety of women everywhere. I was messaging a woman on OfferUp to come and get the couch. And it was, she was delayed like a half hour. I was like, hey, I only came back to sell the couch. I have to leave again. Please let me know your ETA. So she knew that I was leaving again. And when she showed up, she spoke no English with a very large, intimidating man, and they were disappointed with the color of the couch and they were trying to bargain me down. And
red flags.
And the smell coming off this man left a stench in my apartment when he left.
3 red flags.
Like,
don't put them in your apartment.
I am a little on edge. They're unhappy about the price, but I don't
4th
need
red
to
flag.
give this to you. You said what you said and you don't want it. That's fine. And so they left and she kept talking to him in Spanish, and I was about to grab my bag to leave and I noticed that they weren't driving away. They were right in front of my apartment building, and I was looking at the road and I'm like, you're not waiting for cars to go by. Why aren't you leaving? And then they moved their car. They had parked half a block away from my building. They moved their truck right in front of my building, parked, turned off the car and sat there. And I was like, am I overthinking this, or are they waiting until I'm leaving? Because she knows that I'm trying to leave and they want this couch. He said to me, we're taking this down to Mexico right now. I live close to Mexico and I know that shit happens all the time and you never think anything's going to happen to you. But I was like, okay, I'm by myself. They're inside my apartment. They see that nobody else is with me and they know I'm about to leave. Why are you sitting in front of my apartment? Why did you move your truck closer to my building? Why aren't you leaving? So I'm kind of freaking out, and I call the cops, and they transfer me to the non-emergency line, and I tell them what's going on. And then as that's happening, they drive away. And now I'm watching my back. I'm like, are you kidding me? They can come back at any time. They can call a friend. Horrible. And then I'm thinking, they're going to Mexico right now. God forbid something happened, I would be in Mexico right now and no one would know what happened to me. And that's not an unheard of, unfortunately, thing. And it's broad daylight, Don't do these things at night. It's a large piece of furniture. I couldn't have easily met them like somewhere else. But I'm never doing that again. So be aware that you may be messaging someone on OfferUp, but someone else might come with them, and it might...
One, they could have not been there for the couch. Facebook Marketplace is attached to your Facebook profile. They see a blonde girl. They might be trying to traffic you. And they came into your apartment. You're by yourself. There's two of them. A lot of times the female on these trafficking situations is the one that's finding the women, creating comfort, and then the man grabs them. And if you're close to a border, you're gone. Okay, you've got to have some situational awareness. If you're going to meet for something, it is in a place with cameras, with witnesses, with people, and you've vetted the person a little bit. A lot of times with Facebook, I'll look at their profile. I scan it really quick and be like, it looks okay, or it doesn't. I have said it is not worth for me to buy a used product anymore. I'll just buy it new. And I know that's a bad thing to say, but it cuts out all these sketchy situations. My wife had me drive 40 miles one day for some kids' costumes for my son. And I wound up in the shadiest place. I said, why didn't you just take my credit card and buy the doggone costumes? I will never do that stuff again. And that's where a lot of this used third-hand world is going. Be very careful. Be vigilant. Be vigilant, and don't be naive. You got to get rid of this naivety. That's why I'm making these videos, to educate people about, if you're naive, you're going to get taken advantage of in this world, because people are out there looking to take advantage of you. Don't live in a bubble. But that's all I got, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment down below. I wanted to make sure that everybody is tracking these new scams. Don't let these people do this. And a lot of it is coming from, they're scams from the old world. Okay, like these scams have been around for a very long time. They're just adapting them. And it's crazy how much thought criminals can put into something instead of just making the money legitimately. But, you know, it's hard to even explain some of this to law enforcement. It seems like the wheels of law enforcement, they churn very slowly. And it's like, until it hits them on the head, they don't start recognizing these new criminals. Until all of a sudden people start screaming, why aren't you recognizing this? And then they step their game up. And if you try to tell them about it, they don't listen to you. I tried to tell them about a lot of these real estate scams, and they look at me like I'm crazy. And I'm like, no, this is deed fraud. This is, fraud in its rankest state for big bucks. And they're like, oh, that'll be worked out in the civil court. But I love you, law enforcement. I love my law enforcement, but I need y'all to be vigilant. And I need you to start, I don't know, maybe contract out some of these ideas to civilians that are encountering them, instead of just trying to keep it internal law enforcement. But that's all I got, everybody. If you happen to be looking for real estate on the Gulf Coast of Florida, Alabama, my email is down below. I'd be happy to help you. And if you need a real estate agent anywhere in the country, I'd be happy to help you find one. Let me do it instead of you. See you guys later.